Hey, what's up guys? So we are going to be going over the top 5 instant win conditions that no one uses in Yu-Gi-Oh! Now I know that there's a tons of weird FTKs that you can burn your opponent to death, but to qualify for an instant win condition, it would have to say something like you win the duel on the card. Now the two most popular decks that have a instant win condition are something like Exodia and Final Countdown. We probably all have faced against one of these decks, and it is so painful sometimes to simply lose to it really quick because you just can't do anything. Final Countdown is probably one of those decks where it takes so long and you just sit there and you're just like, please hope they don't have like a Battle Fader or something where you're going to be going for game. But yeah, these two decks have been quite successful at large scale tournaments. The other decks we'll be talking about, it's simply because they're not consistent and it's just too difficult to pull off the win condition. But anyways, let's go ahead and jump right into it. So first off, venneman, the deity of poisonous snakes. Now when this card first came out, it was a very expensive card, but it can never take off just because its requirements are just way too difficult, especially since the card actually had an errata in the actual combo. So we'll briefly talk about how to actually pull off the combo, because I know the text is very small. There's so much text on this card, it's absolutely ridiculous. But anyways, to get this card out, you have to special summon it first with Rise of the Snake Deity. Now here is Rise of the Snake Deity. You can only activate it when a face-up venneman, the king of poison snakes you control, is destroyed, and then you can just special summon one venneman, the deity of poison snakes, from your hand or deck. Now unfortunately this card has been errated, so the newer card actually states that venneman, the king of poison snakes, cannot be destroyed by battles in order for you to actually activate this card. So unfortunately that actually makes the combo even harder. Not that everyone really used it before, but here's the actual card. To get him out, basically you want to use Call of the Haunted. I mean, yeah, you could tribute multiple monsters for it, but more realistically you usually try to get him out of the hand. You can Foolish Burial him. You would just try to, you know, Call of the Haunted, get him out, and then hope he doesn't get destroyed by battle. Now you can use something like Torrential Tribute or something like that just to help yourself out. Then you'd have to have Rise of the Snake Deity already set up for it, and then you have to get out this card, and this card has to inflict damage to your opponent 3 times. It gains 500 attack for each reptile monster in your graveyard, and it's basically unaffected by everything, except for it can be destroyed by battle. But it has to place one hyper venom counter on it each time it inflicts damage, and then once there's 3 counters on it, you win the duel. It's just way too difficult to get out, and if you already have that many reptiles in the graveyard, you probably have already won simply by just attacking your opponent that many times, because this card is basically unaffected by everything except for it being destroyed by battle. Next up we have the number 88 Gimmick Puppet of Leo. Now this card is actually a new card, and you know, I tried so many times to actually pull this off. This card is actually very difficult to pull off. To special summon him, it's not that hard. The only problem is you have to control no spell and trap cards, and basically each turn you detach one, and then you get to place a destiny counter on it, and you can't conduct your battle phase when you activate it, but when there are 3 destiny counters on this card, you win the duel. Now I've tried so many darn times, and the problem with this is you can't protect him other than with hand traps. So, you know, Maxi can't really protect him. Maybe DD Crow can occasionally protect him, but Effect Failure is basically the only thing that can protect him because he's very vulnerable. He has decent amount of attack, but the thing is, if you have a 3200 beater on the board and you have 3 turns, usually your opponent will just activate and be like, okay, tanky bear, okay, pop, okay, you lose your combo now. And then you'll be so frustrated, because that's how I lost. I had 1 counter on it and it got tanky bear popped, and I'm like, oh darn. That just, it sucks, but yeah, this card is just actually difficult to pull off because it allows your opponent to, you know, obviously set a whole bunch of stuff, and they don't have to worry about you really attacking them or doing anything, because at that point your opponent basically has full control over what their monsters can do, unless you happen to have Effect Failure to stop them. But yeah, there is also Exodia, the ultimate Forbidden Lord. Now I actually did a video with this guy for a OTK. I'll put a link down below in the description box if you want to check it out. It is not actually using him for his win condition though. So his win condition actually involves declaring an attack 5 times, and each time you send a Forbidden one, meaning one of the Exodia parts, to the graveyard. And basically you have to attack 5 times successfully with him, and then you win the duel. As long as there's 5 Forbidden 1 cards in your graveyard that were sent by this card's effect, you win the duel. So this guy's got to attack 5 times. He gains 1,000 attack for each normal monster, so I guess with some Exodia parts you can get him up to, you know, technically 4,000 is about like average, I would say, you know, unless you're playing more normal monsters, and at that point you gotta be playing Exodia plus you have to play this. It's just looking bad all around. And what happens if you draw one of the you know, Forbidden 1 cards? What do you do at that point? Because they have to be sent by this card's effect to actually win the duel. So that is, you know, obviously way too hard to get out. But I do know a combo with this with a Gishki deck that is ridiculously funny, so you can go check it out in the description box below. Next card is the creator of Godlight Horikathy. This OTK, or FTK even, is actually really insanely, it's near impossible to pull out. I know it technically is possible. If you're playing in the unrated section, I did a video of this card FTKing my opponent in the unrated, what is it, Advanced Unlimited section. So that means with like 3 Pot of Greed, 3 Graceful Charity, so like the most broken decks possible, I was able to pull this card off. But to actually get this card off, it is going to be ridiculous. This card will get a print in the TCG. Currently it does not have one, but like I said, I'll get one in the future. It is so hard to actually get off, legitimately. But anyways, so you special summon it from your hand by contributing 3 monsters, whose original names are Slifer the Sky Dragon, Obelisk the Torment, and the Winged Dragon of Ra. So that means you had to tribute a bunch of monsters, but technically you could still get out the the other god cards like Slifer, Obelisk, and Ra by some of them you can bring them out with like Call of the Haunted, but then they get destroyed. But it doesn't really matter because you'll be just getting out this and winning the duel immediately. But if you got all 3 god cards, I don't know how you haven't won the game already if you successfully been summoning all 3 of them. But yeah, this card, it's an insane way to win. It is cool. Like, I like this win condition because it's like so impossibly hard that when it actually goes off, it's really funny. But I have a video of this in the unlimited section, like I said, if you guys want to check it out. And lastly, I think this one is the most difficult one. I've tried so many times to pull it off, and it is near impossible. The Destiny board win condition. Man, this thing is so difficult to pull off. So if you guys are unfamiliar with it, basically, it spells out a word on the board in your spell and trap zone. It has to be spelled correctly. If you fail on the spelling of it, then you will actually not win. So this is how it will look in your spell and trap zone. One of them is a trap card. The rest are all spells, and they all spell final in the TCG or in English. In Japanese or OCG, they spell out death. And the artwork is a little bit different. You can see that there is a Ouija board in the OCG artwork, whereas in the TCG one, we don't have that. So the difference is basically where it says death and final, and also the Ouija board. But as far as the win condition goes, it's so hard. So let me go ahead and briefly go over what you do with it. So I'll actually read the entire thing because it's ridiculous, and I'm like, how would they even think of this card in the first place? But anyways, it's a trap card. At the end of each of your opponent's turns, place 1 spirit message from your hand or your deck face up on the field. If you control the spirit message cards INAL in the proper order, you win the duel. If any spirit messages card or destiny board you control is removed from the field, all spirit cards and destiny board you control are sent to the graveyard. So that means if one of them gets disrupted, you have to send everything back to the graveyard. And you guys want to know the worst part about this? You can't even activate the other spell cards, because the other spell cards say this card can only be placed on the field by the effects of Destiny board, so you can't even place it. That is absolutely horrific if you want to try to win, because that basically means no back row at all, because if you start putting back row, you can mess yourself up, and you have to put them in the right order, which is not, that big of a deal. But, if you're playing on some game, it doesn't even let you set it. So I'm actually wondering how some of the Yu-Gi-Oh games would actually work. Maybe if you would use final in some of those games, they would actually place it in the correct order, because majority of the times in some of the Yu-Gi-Oh games, when you place down a face-down spell trap card, it just places it straight down in the center of the field. So I don't know what would happen in some of the games. You guys probably know what happened, because I've never tried to run this at all in the games, because it doesn't work. I've tried it in real life. It just doesn't work. I've tried so many darn times, because that basically means no background. Your opponent obviously knows what's going on, and they can just set an MST, because remember, you can't set anything, otherwise you'll be messing up your Destiny board. And if they MST one of them, you send all of them to the grave, and you have to start all over again. So, unfortunately, it's going to be one of the most difficult things to pull off. I might try it again in the future if they make some type of support for it, but like I said, it is near impossible to spell out everything. But anyways, those are my top 5 of the other win conditions in Yu-Gi-Oh! That no one really uses. If you felt like I missed out on any other win conditions, hey, let me know. Obviously, the ones that no one uses, because I do know Exodia and Final Countdown, those are the other win conditions, but those are the other top 5 that I would say that no one uses them at all. Probably out of any of them, the best one I would say probably is honestly Gimmick Puppet, just because there's a lot of easy ways just to throw out 3 monsters, make it, and then He's got decent attack too, where you don't have to worry about this card getting some of the counters on, then your opponent attacks it, and you're like, oh, okay, well, it goes to the graveyard, and then you have to reset up everything. I mean, this card, you can special summon it back, but you'll be losing the counters, obviously, because it goes to the graveyard, and the counters fall off. But, yeah, let me know what you guys think of some of these alternate win conditions, and like I said, if you guys want to check out the 2 videos, the one where I actually OTK someone with this, as well as the OTK, the God FTK, whatever you want to call it, with the creator God of Light in the unlimited section. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day. Asian Eyes signing out.